A down day today following the weakness across Asia. Of course, Asia was a lot weaker than what our markets actually did. You had Shanghai scaling lower by about 2.5%. The crackdown on the edtech stocks not really auguring well for the sentiment on most of these markets. So China, along with Hong Kong, which is now at its 2020 lows, saw a 1,000-point fall coming in. China tech stocks in Hong Kong remain to be the key focal point of pressure. That said, our markets held out a lot better than that, even though European markets too started off in the weak zone. They were down about almost 0.5% when they came into trade, but our markets as well, in tandem with what Europe was doing, about 87 points lower, though at the lows of the day we were down about in excess of 100 points as well at one point in time, and it seemed like we're going to breach that 15,700 level, which we finally managed to defend. So 15,732 is where we shut shop for in the day. It was really pharma all the way, which was the weakest link today, led by Dr Reddy's performance. We were down about 10.6% on Dr Reddy's. There was Cipla, which was dragged lower by almost about 4%. You had a Divi's Labs, which was down 2.6%. There was Glenmark Pharma down 6%. Aurobindo Pharma, which was also down 5% in trade. So these were your big laggards. Now, it was not just subdued earnings, which we've seen from a DRL, from a Biocon, or from an Alembic Pharma as well. But also remember, US markets have not been doing all that well. Numbers are also lower than estimates. The one-time COVID positives are already factored in now. It's a subdued domestic market back home that we are already seeing. Most of the COVID gains are behind us. And the bigger threat, of course, is that US FDA has now begun to get vigilant once again, and you are seeing some physical inspections already happen. So that's also weighing in on the sentiment on some of these pharma majors. So most of these cracked quite heavy in a trade. On the flip side, though, it was metals and financials which managed to wade through the storm. You had a Hindalco which held out by 4.25%. Tata Steel held out very smartly. Financials like SBI Life, after its numbers yesterday, that stood tall. Another 3% put in trade today as well. SBI held out 1.25%. In fact, SBI is now sitting at a price point of 528 rupees per share. You had a Bajaj Finance, HDFC Life, they were all looking good. Tomorrow, of course, you've got Nestle as well as Maruti reporting their numbers. Nestle, ahead of its earnings tomorrow, held out by about almost 0.6%. From amongst the metals major, you also had good price action for Jindal Steel as well as Nalco, which held out by almost 5% in trade. The gold financer stocks, they were back into action. So Manappuram again shot up by about almost 8%. And it was just one solo candidate, which was an exception to the pharma weakness, and that was Pfizer. That stock held out by about almost 6.5% in today's trading session. The breadth of the market as well came off quite considerably. You had a good 114 stocks which were to the declines, as opposed to just 49 odd standing to the advances. But most market men believe that we're going to continue hovering around this range of 15,700 on the downside, which we managed to defend today as well, and 15,900 on the upside. A breach of that doesn't look all that possible right now, but who knows which way the global markets move. And if we do see a breach, then of course that opens significant downside for us from these levels.